Shut up and sit down.
It's where the big boys play. SICW.
Welcome to Square Rig Podcast, everybody. Episode number 91. We did take a week off for the Christmas holiday. And while we were gone, we had a couple of announcements coming through for our upcoming Mayfest show. And Happy New Year for everybody. We're recording this not on the eve of New Year's Eve. But you'll be seeing it afterwards. We do have a new segment we're going to be starting. We did talk about before a couple weeks ago how we're going to do a reaction segment, but for the paid tiers because we don't believe in censorship. But we are going to do a little bit of a bump card segment where two kitchen sink wrestler guys, those two guys sitting over there, and they're going to talk about their professional matches, and we're going to bash the hell out of these idiots that put their lives at risk for almost no money and zero training. How's it going, guys? I'm not talking about we're going to be bashing those two.
Where are you trying to go with this? Professional wrestlers, they shouldn't be bashed. We all do great jobs. We'll see here in a minute. First off, Merry Christmas to everyone over there and Happy New Year, because this will come out after the New Year. Last week we did take a break, like Nick said, and the special announcement that SICW and Herb Simmons announced was the great Kevin Von Erich, a guy who doesn't really do any fan fests, is coming out of the state of Texas, and he is doing our fan fest. So that is a great announcement. The family legacy of the Von Erichs, a lot of it was here in St. Louis. Of course, Fritz had the WCCW down in Texas. Of course, those were the top stars, was his sons, Kevin, Kerry, and David. Tossed in some other ones that probably shouldn't have been in the ring. But those are the three most famous ones, David, Kevin, and Kerry. I told you guys before on this page that Kerry, the Texas Tornado up in WWF times, he was like one of my idols. And I guess it's because his look in WWF was actually pretty much the Ultimate Warrior with no face paint. But Kerry definitely had the body of a wrestler. And then just to find out all the behind the scenes stuff that we knew about before seeing the A24 movie, The Iron Claw, about Kerry losing half of his foot and still wrestling. And really no one even noticed. And a lot of wrestlers in the back didn't even know because he hid it from everyone. Speaking of that movie, as soon as I noticed that, Herb was inviting Kevin in, I went back on the A24's website just to see what kind of merchandise that they had when that movie was coming out. And they, they have like the foam Iron Claw, and they have a special edition Kevin Von Erich figure. But they also had this little book, and I picked this up. It wasn't much. It was like $5 or $6. But it's just a book. Talks about the family, and this is probably their family, Kevin's family, has probably been written about more times than anyone else, because it was just such a tragic family problems that they kept having with all the suicides and mental problems that they had, Fritz being overbearing. So this book, you can get it off their website, A24, goes over the family history. It's kind of cool. It's got a comic from back in the day that they just reissued inside this. So on that comic, it's got Fritz and it's got Kerry, and it says Christmas cage match. But it's kind of cool. I have not finished going through it all, reading it all. But in the middle of it, They do have a picture of the guy who played Kerry, Jeremy Allen White, who played Kerry Von Erich. So it's kind of cool. Like I said, you can go on there. It's not much. It's like $6 or $7 or something like that. But I
Yeah,
was looking
every time
through
you
my
talk about it,
stuff.
the price keeps raising.
Yeah, the
5,
deal's
6,
pretty
7.
cheap. Compared to the stuff that I pick up, that's pretty reasonable. And I was looking through all my stuff, and I didn't really have anything from the Von Erichs because Kevin, I don't go around getting autographs from a lot of wrestlers. I do like taking pictures with them, and normally, if they come to one fan fest, they come back around at some point in time. So what I normally do is I take a picture with the wrestlers or the legends or the people that become our friends, because we have one-on-one conversations with a lot of these guys because they return so often. But then I just have them, autograph the picture that, I had taken with them. But I was looking around at all my stuff, and I absolutely had nothing, except for the big posters that we got from A24 of the Iron Claw. But I don't like carrying big things like posters and stuff with me through all this stuff because, us being wrestlers, we're actually working most of the time that the Fan Fest is going on. So there's really no time for us to, sit there and get autographs and pictures and fanboy out and stuff like that. So this is something very small I can just have on me, and if I see him and run into him, I'll probably get Kevin's autograph because it's very rare that Kevin comes out of the state of Texas. And he just moved there not too long ago. He was in Hawaii, and all of his family lived there too. So, I know his boys are wrestling, but Kevin very rarely, step out back into the spotlight. And so it's definitely, if you haven't got your tickets for our May Fest, definitely go out and get them. I know the hotel is booking up. So I like to stay at the hotel because normally I do what I can for SICW that Friday. And, we got that guy coming in doing a Q&A with some of these wrestlers. And
That guy.
Bad with names. So I can't remember the guy's name.
He's a
Throw it
friend
out
of
for
yours,
me.
and you can't even remember his name.
What's his name?
He's not my friend.
Oh,
I keep
Bobby?
wanting to say Bill Alfonso, but that's wrong.
No, it's Chris.
No,
It's not. Is it? It's not Chris, is it? Bill
No.
Apner.
Bill
It's
Apner.
Bill Apner.
So, yeah.
So Bill Apner is going to be in town. Instead of doing his one-man comedy routine, he's going to just sit down. And this is what I love the most. This is the Q&A, road stories from the legends that they're bringing in. Now, they've already announced that Kevin won't be there Friday. He's only showing up for Saturday for the Fan Fest itself. And then he's heading back out. But they really haven't announced who's going to be there Friday night for the road stories and the Q&A. But I'm sure once we start getting closer to May, that all the details are going to come out. But it's definitely cool. Like I said, it's very rare that the Von Erichs come out of their home state. So to get him on the Fan Fest, man, it's going to be unbelievable.
Since Kevin's coming in, does that mean James is coming in too? Because they've been family friends since Fritz was in. So
I don't know. I mean, there's a good chance of it. But also, you got to remember that James Beard's territory just became part of the NWA. So they might have stuff rolling with that. Now, we do have some of the NWA members coming to our show. The Rock and Roll Express, they're part of the NWA. Now, last year, they were supposed to be here. But last minute, the NWA had us a surprise pay-per-view or TV show that they needed to be on. So they actually couldn't make it to our Fan Fest. So they pretty much guaranteed that they're going to make it to this Fan Fest.
that's what I like about this year compared to last year and the year prior is this one coming up. NWA is actually working with Herb to clear dates so that they can come. And that just that just shows that Billy is expanding his mind a little bit more.
And I think he is, because he is starting this territory program up. There's one in Tennessee, there's one in Florida. Of course, we know the one that Brandon works for up in
OVW?
he works for EC3 up in Ohio. I think it's Ohio. It's either Iowa. No, it's Ohio. So he goes up there and works for them. But WLW here in St. Louis just got picked up for our territory. And now James Beard, his wrestling place in Texas just got picked up. So it's kind of cool that they're expanding like this. This is actually something that Herb wanted to do as well. So, not saying that doing it with the NWA, but, Herb wanted to try to get a territory system back up and running, working with mid-states, working with, who's the other one down in Missouri? Having this brain lapse here tonight.
Didn't both you guys wrestle for him?
New Breed?
New Breed, yeah. I wrestle for New Breed a lot. I haven't here recently because I haven't really traveled a lot this past year. I did go to Mid-States twice, but that was about as much as I traveled. But yeah, so at one time, and they even brought out tag team titles that me and Waco won. And we actually went to different places. And that's when we were working with South Broadway, MMWA. And so we would defend the belts there. We defended the belts of New Breed and of course, SICW. But Billy is finally taking it to the next level where he's getting these organizations that kind of have a following already. And they have the wrestlers there. And so now the NWA is pretty much sending their wrestlers out to these other places to get them to work there, kind of elevate their territories at the same time getting his NWA wrestlers work as well. So it's a win-win for both places there. What you got going on here?
Well, I just thought I'd play some of Kevin and Ric Flair, because Ric Flair and the Von Erichs had a huge, not controversy. What do you call that? Rivalry.
And this is Kevin versus Ric Flair?
Yeah, the stadium sellout.
Was it Kerry or Kevin, though?
Pretty sure it was Kevin. That looks like Kevin.
Yeah, that is Kevin there. Okay. So since we've seen the Iron Claw, that's the most recent WCCW wrestling that I've seen. And I know Kevin went against Harley Race. That was his first shot at the NWA title. And then I know when David passed away, Ric Flair.
We had Kevin's when he it was a the non-belt match and the belt match as well. So you didn't go to our site, our YouTube page, and watch those matches.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Like I said, my father was a big wrestling fan, and that's pretty much who got me into wrestling. And that was one of his favorite shows to watch. And he definitely loved the Von Erichs. So watching the matches with my father, I thought Kevin was kind of cool because he would wrestle barefooted. And before him, I've never seen a wrestler wrestle barefooted. There's a bunch of different stories about why he did it. Some about he hurt his ankle and couldn't put the boots on one night, and he got so much positive feedback that he just kept them off. I'm sure we have some matches when they wrestled at the Chase. I know for a fact there's some matches that he's wearing boots. But I guess after he got, feedback saying, hey, that makes you different. And a lot of times that's what works, is wrestlers need to find stuff that makes them different from everyone else. And to see a wrestler wrestle without boots, that's weird. So that makes you different. But yeah, he kept it up for some time. I was trying to look to here to see if he's got boots on.
No, he's barefoot in this one.
He's barefooted.
Yep. Man, I'm gonna have to get Jacob in the ring to do some of these close-up shots like they're doing in the stadium here.
Yeah.
Before you guys start hammering down.
Only if he's going to wear the same outfits.
That 60s and 70s gear, yeah.
Yeah.
Throw some bell bottoms on it.
Well,
I saw someone in some of them athletic shorts there too.
I'm sure he'd be game.
But besides Kevin, just to give a short rundown, everyone else is going to be there. If they just announced Gerald Briscoe's going to be there, so that's cool. Mac Davis is going to be there. Teddy Long is going to be there. Gangrel is going to be there.
That one's exciting.
Hyatt is going to be there. Who'd you say, Bobby?
I said that's an exciting one. I'm pretty excited to meet Gangrel.
Oh yeah.
You gonna make him wear his fangs and bite you, Bobby?
I'm gonna spit blood on him.
I want to say he originally started wearing fake fangs, but I don't know. It's one of those rumors that he ended up having his teeth fixed like that. So who knows if they're real or if it's because sometimes you can just have those things cemented onto your teeth and have those fangs. So I don't know what he's got going on now, but he's had those things forever.
The pictures I saw of him from last year, he didn't have any fangs, so he made for the fan.
Yeah, Teddy Long on there. You already said, right? Yep. Tito Ortiz, Sabu.
Tito Ortiz?
No. Tito Santana.
Boston, get in the car.
Hey, Tito Ortiz. Was Tito Ortiz Boston?
I have no idea.
I just know he trained at Big Bear.
A bunch of people off.
I just know he trained at Big Bear in Colorado. UFC fighter. But no, Tito Santana, Sabu, Rock and Roll, Ivan Volkov, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and Beefcake.
Yes.
Everybody who's watching this, we film this late at night. So there's a reason we're forgetting friends' names. It's just late. And somebody is doing Jack and Coke with a beer chaser, and it's not me.
It wasn't Jack, it was rum.
Okay, rum and Coke. Sorry.
I always say it's the steel chair shots that I've taken to the head that make me forget things. Eventually it comes around and I can remember the names.
I say it's probably because I have been up for like 16 hours at this point.
Yeah, and you've had to deal with a bunch of kids too.
That's always fun.
Right. I don't know what's worse, the ones at Little Devils, the younger ones, or the ones that are in high school who think their shit don't stink. So
younger, because the high school you just make them run. It's the younger ones that stink. And let me rephrase that. The younger ones, it's the parents that stink.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I mean, the
parents
kids can test your patience too. Kids can test your patience too, but the parents, well, my baby don't do nothing wrong.
Of course they don't.
Nope.
Ted Bundy's mama said the same thing. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, he never hurt a fly.
Those flies are safe.
Yeah.
But
what I like, I've watched this match several times, and I like the fact that even with center wrestling and strong arm wrestling, like what you guys do, there's still quick action, still in the middle of the ring. And usually with strong arm, this type, it's slow developing.
Right. Well, the key here is you got Ric Flair. Ric Flair can work any style. He can be that flamboyant, my shit don't stink, jet flying and all the women waiting for him to get out of the ring type thing, or he can actually wrestle. And for a while when Ric Flair first started going through, before he was champion, or actually kind of when he won the belt the first time around, and maybe even the second time, his matches were so different because he wrestled different every time. But then once he started to get a little older and actually into the WCW era, a lot of people criticized him a little bit about having the same moveset. But if you look at it nowadays, most wrestlers have the same moveset that they try to get off. And some are extremely famous with it. John Cena had 4 or 5 moves. Hulk Hogan, in the 80s. Well, hell, he kept it even through to the NWO era. Only had certain moves, the leg drop, the block the punch. Yeah, so. But Ric Flair, definitely could wrestle different styles because you never know. One night he might be with Bruiser Brody for an hour, and then the next night he might be going against someone little like, like Kevin. Kevin's really skinny and he's not built like his brother Kerry. So.
Hell, even David was bigger than Kevin, taller wise.
Oh yeah, David was the tallest one, and I really kind of wish he would have got a little further in his career because everyone who paid attention to the Von Erichs and talked about him and wrote about him said that David was the best one, and he didn't. Unfortunately, he passed away, so we really didn't get a long career out of David. But I kind of wonder where
that
he
sucked
would have
because David and Rick were going into that when David was supposed to come back from Japan in February, where he ultimately died in that February 11th, I think, is when he died, isn't it?
Not too sure on the date.
They were supposed to do a whole bunch of matches to build up to David potentially winning the belt from him.
Yeah.
February 10th, 1984. In Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah, and there's controversy about that stuff too. And this is all hearsay, but according to the movie, and if you talk to the father, he died of. If you watch the movie, he died of like an intestinal bursting or something. But then you hear the rumors about overdosing on pills. But the family was quick to deny all that. And even in the movie,
Bruiser Brody removed the evidence before everybody got there, and
but even
people that were there at the scene said it happened. But now, Kevin recently said that they believe now it was a heart attack and not intestinal or barbiturate abuse, but a heart attack. Zero evidence for it, but
either way, this family, in the movie, they talk about a curse, and even my father talked about the tragedies, and I don't think he actually said curse though, but it was one of those things, in the olden days, you respected your father and you didn't want to disappoint your father. Of course, no son wants to disappoint their father, but back then it was like religious. You didn't want to disrespect the father, and you wanted to live up to what he ever had the expectations of you. And so, when they felt like they weren't living up to that name, most of them committed suicide. But hands down, probably one of the first families in wrestling. Later on, we got a whole bunch of the Hearts and people that trained at the Heart Dungeon. And then we got other families coming through.
Well, what about the Valentines? Because Greg's dad was wrestling professionally in the black and white days before Fritz came around.
Yeah, and like I said, but this was one that was truly a family.
He's checking his oil.
Definitely one of the biggest families in wrestling. I mean, there is like our good friend Bob Orton Jr. His dad wrestled, his uncle wrestled, his brother wrestled. Of course, Randy's wrestling. I do want to say, I don't know if you guys learned about it, but Bob's mother passed away last week. So I do give him some prayers and thoughts. Because anytime you lose your mother, it's just like your father. But his father, I think, had already passed. Yeah, his father had passed, of course. So he just had his mother and his sister. They were living together in Las Vegas, and mother passed away. So I'm not too sure when the memorial is going on or what's going on with that. I haven't really heard, but do want to give our regards to the Orton family.
Definitely have them. Hey, speaking of that, did you hear if Nathan's coming out to do his comedy act in May, or is that not decided?
Well, it was extended. The offer was extended, but supposedly he quit comedy, and it really just took on a full-time job doing something I don't know. But it was kind of offered again with an open door, so we don't know for sure. But the offer is definitely extended to him because he was great last year, and and he's been a comedian for a long time. So this is just another way for him to keep the door open too. Because I did a deep dive into his comedy specials that he's had before, and he's a great funny guy. And what he was popping off on his father that night was great, and had a whole crowd, the whole room was laughing. So he's definitely good at it. So I would hopefully he does come back out and does that routine.
All right, there's about 15 minutes left on that, so we'll move on since it is late. We don't want to spend 2 hours in the podcast tonight.
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to. So let's get into the face of SICW, at least on this poster, Bobby D, on his match coming up on the 10th.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say Glenn Williams, because that dude is bragging all over the internet still.
Of course.
That's not going to be happening on our podcast.
Good. I mean, you did
again
frequently bring him on.
Well, it was your bet that brought him here.
I didn't lose. I won 2 out of 3 falls. I just didn't get the belt.
That is true. Nobody lost, but he still ended up here.
Oh, he lost. I am the winner of the match. I'm just not the champion.
Not yet, but you're going to get it.
Darn right.
So
leading into that, I mean, obviously, get a little bit of payback on him. Reignite an old feud there with Kowalski. And I believe Kowalski and Silverback been having some trouble with each other lately, too. So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of man meat in there and bodies flying everywhere.
Yeah. Really, no matches besides this one has been called. So it's going to be interesting. There's going to be some new faces. And some old friends that's going to come in. Austin Militalo is going to be there. There's a new guy. He's got a weird name, Yabba Dabba, whatever.
Do?
Yeah, I don't know. I heard them. I heard them talk about it on the SICW show this past Sunday. I don't know anything about him, so it's going to be kind of weird. There's also a guy from Chicago that's coming down who's known for the Chicago bear hug. So that's going to be interesting. Evidently, he's a big guy too.
Well, he better be if he's doing bear hugs.
Yeah, I'm thinking he knows how to do one.
So I'm just scrolling through Herb's Facebook because I know he posted some of these, and I did just see Race's boy and his ex-wife. They'll be at FanFest too. And Dan Severn. Oh, where'd those pictures just go? Dan Severn, he's a good guy too. Like, you could tell he is passionate when he talks about wrestling. Bugsy McGraw. Well, it says in Hall of Fame, so I don't know if he's actually going to be there or just inducted or something. Patricia Summerlin. And we mentioned it later, but Bill Apter.
Yeah, but I was talking about this next show that you're.
I know. I was going back a little bit. I was looking for those posts, and I just happened to run across FanFest people that we forgot.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If you guys haven't got your tickets yet, I would strongly recommend getting your tickets, getting your hotel rooms booked, because the Friday night show, yes, it's a Q&A and it's a story-driven show, but the after hours is normally a really good time. I won't get into details about that, but sometimes you'll see wrestlers, drinking around that you can come up to and talk to, and of course they won't sign any autographs Friday because that's going to be, waited for Saturday. But you can come up, say hello, shoot the breeze with some of them. They love it. They love their fans. And like I said before in multiple podcasts, that this is, a lot of them never got around to doing FanFest because, if they were a heel back in the day, the fans hated them and they hated them back. And it didn't get till now that they're older that fans appreciate them for what they've done for the company or for the business. And so now they're actually coming out of the woodwork and, getting their, day to shine. And they love it. So definitely, if you see a wrestler walking around the hotel, stop them, say hi, be polite, be nice about it. But they'll probably shoot the breeze with you. Before we get to this bump card thing that I know you want to talk about.
Well, real quick, I did see, I don't know if you said it, Danny Dollar will be one of them in.
Oh, yeah. So Danny Dollar's coming in.
Here, Master of the Chicago Bear Hug, Steve Michaels.
Steve Michaels, yes. Danny Dollar.
Come out and say, "Don't Bears."
Don't Bears. Danny Dollar is a great guy. He's a friend of us. I'll probably reach out to Danny Dollar and see if we can't get him on the podcast because he's a great guy, and he's best friends with Jerry the King Lawler. So normally we see Danny Dollar. Not that he's going to bring Jerry with him that Friday. Speaking of that, let's just make it clear that it's January was it the 10th is the date?
Yes.
January 10th, that's Friday. Friday
it's
night.
A Friday. So let's just make that clear. This is because different things are booked at the fairgrounds, we actually had to move it a day forward. So it's a Friday, January the 10th. Same time though, doors open at 6, bells at 7. It's just be prepared because it's the first show of the year, and Herb's bringing in a lot of new faces, a lot of friendly old faces, so it's going to be a great show. And then of course Bobby's got that chance to get a little bit of revenge on Glenn Williams. I wish I was in the match because Kowalski's in the match, but I'm hoping Joe Helms will get a little bit of Kowalski too. That always makes a smile on my face when that kind of stuff can happen. So big show, January the 10th, Friday, January the 10th. Couple things before we get to your bump. Oh, go ahead, Bobby. What you got?
I was going to say it's Yabba Dabba Daddy.
Yeah, Yabba Dabba
Daddy. I haven't looked him up. I have looked up the other guy, the Chicago Bear guy, Bear Hug. Watched a few of his matches just to get a viewpoint of him, but I just heard that guy's name this past Sunday, the Yabba Dabba Daddy, the guy. So I'll look him up too just to see what he's all about.
I'll say you better look them both up because we don't know who you're wrestling yet.
Yeah,
I might be mixing it up with you.
Could be you.
Right.
The only thing that we know 100% is it's not me.
And it's
I
not
don't
me
know.
either. We know my
It-
match.
Yep.
I don't know. Nate might get handed a contract right before the show starts, and you just better come prepared. Get some wrestling shoes and some ring gear, because you never know.
That's a rule. You always bring your gear, Nate.
I'll have it under the table.
All right. So, today's Monday, December 30th. We're not on the road to WrestleMania because that normally happens after the Royal Rumble. But a list came out today. It was supposed to be a secret list, but some people are saying it's a fake list. But a list came out today of the supposed guys that are going to be in the men's Royal Rumble. And it's more than 30. It's actually 31. But two guys on that list, supposedly. This could be a fake list, but this is what has come out today. That John Cena is going to be in there. Of course, we're talking about this is supposed to be John Cena's last year, and he's going to, work the whole year and retire at the end of it. And everyone's speculating that he's going to shoot for the championship because he's tied with Ric Flair right now. So if he gets one more title run, depending on who you talk to, he'll have one more than Ric Flair. But if you talk to Ric Flair nowadays, he's claiming the 21. For the longest time, WWE only, and it's because the NWA said that he was a 13-time or 14-time, and of course he won some championships in WWE to get him to a 16-time world champion. But the NWA didn't recognize some of his matches that he actually lost the belt. Like he lost the belt in Puerto Rico, and they never claimed it. So, of course, he won the belt before he came back to the States. And that happened in Japan a couple times, too, where he lost the belt. But before his trip was done, he was able to wrestle again and win the belt back. But the NWA never confirmed that and never put that on his resume. So in their eyes, that match never happened. So he never lost the belt, never gained it back. But Ric Flair says 21 times he was the champion. Everyone else, including WWE, says he's a 16-time world champion. So technically he's tied with John Cena. So if John Cena has that year that he wants to have, and if he gets the belt again, in some people's eyes, he'll be a 17-time champion, which is one more than Ric Flair. So
yeah, but even if you look at it that way, Ric Flair's is still more impressive. You have Ric Flair, who had to travel to all these different territories, wrestle people. Like, there was no internet back then. He couldn't watch to see what this guy did and learn about him. Like, he just went into a territory and wrestled. And all the different styles and everything that he had to adapt to and impress whole boards versus just a guy that had to impress Vince McMahon, and then he shoved him down your throat.
Right. And and that's a good thing to think about it. When you're wrestling in one company, you wrestle those guys more than once. You can kind of get the feeling out of how they wrestle. But in Ric Flair's day, he didn't wrestle for just one company. As the NWA champion, you wrestled for all the companies in the territories, and Japan, and in Puerto Rico. So you didn't know, like Bobby said, you didn't know who you were wrestling, and most of the matches were an hour long. You don't see Iron Man matches that much anymore. Maybe one every couple of years. But every night, just about, he had an Iron Man match where it was an hour long each time. So definitely props to him. But the other one, can you guys still hear me? Because I know you're frozen on the screen right now.
Oh, you were frozen during half of that sentence.
Yeah, you were frozen and then came back crystal clear because you were fuzzy before. Now you're crystal clear.
Wow. So this list has John Cena coming in at 15, and he's marked down as the winner. But also on this list, the 31st entry is The Rock. And they're saying that he's going to come out after number 30 and say, since he's the final boss / the boss, he can do what he wants, and he's coming down as number 31. Now, like I said, people are saying this list is fake and it wasn't leaked out. Some people say it's just leaked and this might be legit. But and you never know.
I'm on the fake side that it's not a real list, because every Royal Rumble you have a legend or two come back or some kind of surprise. There's not really anything in that list.
Yeah, and you know, the Royal Rumble's in February, so we got a whole nother month, and we all know cards are subject to change, and I've never seen them put out a list a month before the pay-per-view, because you never know who gets hurt or who is not going to be able to make it. So definitely, I'm leaning towards the fake side of things as well, but when I heard about it, the list being out there, I Googled it, and sure shit, different wrestling companies were all news companies were posting it. So I just wanted to take, and they had the list of everyone, Damien in there and Rey Mysterio in there and stuff like that. But those are the two that were the oddballs. John Cena having him down as the winner, and then The Rock being number 31.
I'm going to place it down as great marketing because, look, everybody's talking about it, and they're going to be talking about it for a month until it comes up. So it's great lead-in marketing. So Triple H did a good job on that.
That's true.
Let's see here. I did want to say this is the last week for WWE on USA Network. Next week starts their Netflix debut. And it's going to be a wild ride, they said, next week. So they're supposedly Becky Lynch is coming back, Charlotte Flair is coming back. They're bringing like the whole class, to try to pump this up. But also for AEW. AEW is moving to Max. So both wrestling companies are moving to different spots. So Max is going to have all their shows, the Dynamite. Well, actually, I think Dynamite's going away, but Collision and their other wrestling show, and supposedly their pay-per-views are moving there too. But they haven't said if they're going to make you pay for their pay-per-views on Max or not. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes up. But
so you have to pay to go on Max and then pay per pay-per-view on Max that you're already paying for. That better be Skinamax.
Well, same thing for WWE, not the pay-per-views. And everyone was speculating that, since they were bought by TKO and then, UFC having pay-per-views, it was all speculation that, oh, great, now we're going to start paying for pay-per-views again. But supposedly they're not doing that. So as long as you got Netflix, you should have the pay-per-views and Monday Night Raw.
So are they pulling everything off of Peacock then?
Supposedly everything's coming off of Peacock. They're still not going to do Friday Night SmackDown on Netflix. That's still going to be on, actually, there's rumors about it going to USA, so I don't know. But SmackDown will definitely not be on Netflix. We talked about last week about Chelsea Green winning the Women's U.S. Championship, and we talked about weeks prior that what are they going to do? Have another Women's Championship on Raw and another one on SmackDown. And of course, if you've been paying attention to WWE, they did do another tournament, and I think it's going to be decided tonight, Monday. Of course, this will come out on Thursday, so by then you'll know the winner. But they're doing a Women's Intercontinental Championship belt as well. So I don't know if they're just doing this because, Raw is going to Netflix, and a lot of people don't have Netflix. So a lot of people are going to switch from watching it on USA just to become now SmackDown, watchers, because that's SmackDown's still free if you got regular, channels. So I don't know if they're doing that because half the organization's moving to another place, but it's going to be interesting on who's going to win, who's going to be the first women's intercontinental champion. And the last thing we'll touch up on, we've been talking about The Rock's new Christmas movie and how it was only in the movie theaters for a couple weeks, and then it went to the app, and then you can watch it for free. There was
I still won't watch it.
There was a list that came out today, and it was by I'm probably going to butcher this.
Hold on. I'm going to cut you off real quick and go back a little bit. I wanted to verify before I said it. There will not be a first Intercontinental Women's Champion because China was already the Intercontinental Champion.
Oh, nice.
Was that before she was the porno? Or after?
Yeah, this is before that. But she was the men's Intercontinental Champion.
It doesn't say men's, it just says Intercontinental.
Well, this is dedicated to the women. So
Before drugs, she was a good person. Good wrestler.
So anyway, I'm gonna butcher this. I think it's called Collider. It's Collider. It's the name of the place.
Collider.
And a guy named Jerry Urquhart, EURQUHART. I just want to give him props because he's the one who come out and posted this list. But it was a list of the worst Christmas movies. Now, most Christmas movies automatically become a classic, like Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, The Christmas Story. But the worst Christmas movies, I just wanted to show, The Christmas Story 2. Now, I have watched this just because I'm Bobby will tell you, I'm a fan of The Christmas Story. Little Ralphie, gonna shoot your eye out.
When they go for 24 hours for Christmas, he watches it 24 hours.
Yeah, I'll keep it on the TV and I'll go about my business doing other things, but then I always come back in and watch it. It doesn't matter if it's the same spot that I left it on an hour ago.
It's where did Jim go? Oh, he's in there watching it again.
But yes, Christmas Story.
No, you know why Jim does that, Bobby? It's because of the electric sex. It's got to be that leg.
I thought it was because he really wanted that bunny pajamas.
The costume. The funny thing is I had a kid that went to school with me through grade school. I didn't see him in high school, but then once we started working jobs, I seen him at an old job that I used to run into him at. I think it was Valvoline, but I had already moved on from Valvoline, and then he got there. But his name was Ralph. And he looked exactly like Ralphie in the Christmas movie. And, unfortunately, as kids, you make fun of other kids, and everyone, would just throw these lines at him. You'll shoot your eye out. It's a constant thing that he heard because he looked exactly like this kid. But anyway, Christmas Story 2.
But hold on a second, Jim. For the Halloween match coming up this October, how about if Bobby and I get you that big old bunny outfit and you do a match in it?
No. Jingle All the Way 2. The first Jingle All the Way had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. It wasn't a big hit when it came out, but it's definitely a Christmas classic.
And
I don't watch it every year, but Jingle All the Way.
I thought Jingle All the Way was good. I didn't even know they made a second one.
I didn't know either. I had to, when I looked at this list, I had to look it up. And instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger, it was Larry the Cable Guy. He was the main person in the movie.
Stay on stage, Larry.
Yeah. Home Alone, of course, had Home Alone where it was lost in New York. That was the second movie.
Yeah, the first and the second ones were good. Everything after that, total suckfest.
They did a couple after that, and another one based around Christmas time was Home Sweet Home Alone. It came out in 2011, and it's ranked up there with one of the horrible Christmas movies.
So
And
where's
this,
Rock's new Christmas one list on that list?
hold on. So the first movie, this was number 5 on the list, was Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. This movie came out in 1964. It was the top 5. Red One, which is The Rock's new Christmas movie, was ranked the 4th worst Christmas movie. Then it was Home Sweet Home Alone, Jingle All the Way, and then Christmas Story. But this movie just came out, and I tell you, if you guys watched it, I forced the wife to watch it because she wanted to turn it off after the first 5 or so minutes. It is definitely weird. You got to really want to watch it to sit there and watch it all, because it brings a lot of characters. I mean, Krampus was in it, which, I liked the first Krampus movie. I don't think they made a sequel or anything to it, but they put him into this movie, and then they put this witch into the movie as well. And the witch is the main character, the main bad person. Man, it's I would say it's a kid's Christmas movie, but the language in it would not
If you hate
be.
your kids, it's a kid's Christmas movie. That's a special kind of
I
torture.
guess. But that's, what did I say? A couple points. I think I said it cost $250 million to make, and half that budget was just The Rock's salary. And for it to only last in the movie theaters, I want to say it was 3 weeks that it lasted in the theaters, and then they automatically switched it to where you can watch it on demand.
Hey, speaking
Not
of
even on
Krampus,
demand, it was free.
speaking of Krampus, Jim, if you really want to see some really fun and really messed up Krampus movies, get them straight from Germany. There are some gory, funny Krampus movies that come out of there.
Well,
You're gonna have to.
they
You're
did do a
gonna have
whole
to
Krampus
read.
festival I was watching on TikTok.
Yep. You're gonna have to read the text, but it is still funny, still gory. Really good watch. But let's
All
move
right.
into the other section. Our toy
Yes.
section for your guys is what you grabbed. But
Oh, okay.
this is the one that I always put up. But Bobby sent me another one that said I need to start using for our toy section. All right, there. Now
You
look like
guys gonna.
somebody.
What does that say?
It's 1987. You're having an epic wrestling match with 2 of your LJN wrestling figures while mom's ashtray, Newports, and playing cards set the scene. Life was simple, 0 cares. Oh, the nostalgia.
There you go.
That's Big Texan there.
That's the technique.
Well, speaking of LJNs, I did buy some, and I bought one that I'll save till the end because it's not in the best shape. It's mint, but the package, it's still in the package. That's just great. I got Jumpin' Jim Bruiser, part of the Bumblebees back in the WWF. He was also an AWA. There's only a couple of characters that actually had an LJN and AWA wrestling figure, and he was one of them. Jumpin' Jim Bruiser. This one I picked up, and I actually had to call home and make my kids go and look at my figures because I knew I had them, but I think I was bringing back a memory from the first time I had them. But I couldn't believe in the new collection that I'm trying to build, I didn't have Jake the Snake Roberts. So I picked him up, and I picked him up at our Belleville flea market.
Didn't he have a snake with him in that LGN?
Yes, it was a very long snake. It was a green snake. Now, I picked him up from one of the dealers at the flea market, and he had a very long tan snake. And course, I knew right away it wasn't the original snake. It was just some snake that he found, and he wrapped him up on him and claimed it to be that.
I hope you called him out on it.
Oh no, because he gave me a great deal on the figure, and I wasn't going to call him out for anything like that. All right.
Lou.
Yeah, Captain Lou Albano. I picked him up. Now, there's two versions of this one. It's the same figure, same way, but on his chest, the Lou, the little cartoon Lou, this one has red on it, and there's a variant. This is the variant. The first one, the original one, was just white, right on the red. So this one, even back in the day, they had a variant. And a lot of these have different, these are all made across all over the world. So some of them are made in the US, some are made in China. And, sometimes they didn't have the same paint. Sometimes they didn't have the same stuff painted. Sometimes it was just like Slick Rick, I think is his name. He's wearing rings, and he's got chains, and some of them were painted. Other times the rings were just blended in with his hand. So you can still see the rings on his fingers, but the rings were the same color as his fingers. So there's different variants, different paint schemes. Also,
Well, I
picked
don't
up a
remember
Tito
Lou ever
Santana.
wearing a shirt besides the white one. It was so iconic, he wore it on his Cyndi Lauper videos that he was in.
Yeah.
Just the white shirt.
This is Tito Santana. Now, he had two figures. Again, it's the same figure. They just painted him a different color. So this is his original figure when he was by himself. But he was also in a tag team back in the 80s with Rick Martel, and they were called Strike Force. So all they did was reissued the same figure, and his knee pads and his shorts are all white, because the Strike Force was just all white. Of course, if you look for the white one, you're probably going to spend $50 to $60, sometimes $70 on it. It's the same figure, literally, as his regular Tito Santana. This one's just purple. Now, will I get the white one? If I ever find a good deal on it.
You'll get it.
Eventually, down the road. Now, this one, like I said, is still in the package. Now, the bubble is yellowed. It's hard to find ones that are clear when they've been when they're so old. These came out in '84, so they're definitely got some age on it. But he's the only one I've ever had in the package. So I already have this figure open, displayed, but I got this for such a great deal. It was $30, still in the package. Now, granted, like I said, his bubble is yellow, and the back of the package isn't the best. I guess they had some sort of sticker on the back, and they ripped it off and ripped off some of the printing. But Hillbilly Jim, me and Bobby already talked about that he was one of our first legends that we both were able to meet, and he was a very cool guy. And we met him before we even got into the business. There was pay-per-view parties in St. Louis, and he was hosting a pay-per-view party, and I think I even took him there. But we went there, met him, got autographs on. As a matter of fact, the other Hillbilly Jim figure that I have in the case has got his autograph on his arm from that night that I met him. Now, since then, me and Bobby both, we've been in the business a long time now. He has come through one other time. Herb had brought him in. And, of course, there was a picture that I had posted a little while back on Facebook with me and him, and he just makes me look like a dwarf. He's so much taller than me, and I'm a tall guy, but his head looks like two sizes the size of my head. He's just got a monster freaking head. He looks like he could have been a giant, and who knows, because he was over 7 foot tall. course, I like to say I was like 7 foot tall-ish when I first started, but my back problems have shrunk me. Uh, and they shrunk me. But those were the LJNs that I bought. I did pick up an Ultimate Warrior from the flea market as well. Now this one is actually a rare one that's worth some money, but this was his USA gear. But it was as soon as I seen him, I was like, "Ooh, that one's actually pretty valuable." So I picked him up. I think that was all the wrestlers. The other thing I did pick up, just because we all love Bruiser Brody. This is a Japanese card, and it's actually got Barbara as one of the people that benefit from you buying this card. Now you have to send away for it. It's from Japan. It's all in Japanese too. Even the back, you can't read anything about it because it's all in Japanese. But it does talk about Barbara on the back. It's the only thing you can read in English. And Barbara talked to us a while back about people using his picture, on T-shirts and books and magazines, and she doesn't get any of that money for it. But this guy is actually, what he sells, Barbara's getting a portion of it. So that is always like top of my list because Barbara's a friend of Bobby too. We both won the Bruiser Brody Cup. Bobby's, of course, a 2-time winner of it.
About to be 3.
And that's how we met her, was by winning the cup. She spends some time with you, talks to you, and even to the fans. If you come up to her and talk to her about her late husband, she'll talk to you. She's not one of those that will not talk to you and walk away.
But Barbara owns the likeness rights to her husband. How come she's not getting money for that?
Well, so a lot of people, I don't know if she owns the rights or not, or maybe she didn't own it right away. But a lot of people made autobiographies on Bruiser. Like I said, there's a bunch of T-shirts you can get off of Amazon, that has his picture on it, but she doesn't get any of those royalties. So I don't know if she just now, last couple of years, claimed Bruiser Brody, or if people were just doing it and she wasn't able to sue him because maybe the makers were in Japan, and so she didn't know who to sue or whatever. But this particular maker is giving her a portion of the proceeds. So when I see that, I went ahead and bought that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, you have your box, right?
I do. Is Jim done?
Yeah, that's all I picked up, and trust me, that was a big lot right there.
I said I heard some different 30s and 40s there, and
yeah, well, it's so late and you have such a long day. You were zoning in and out, so I just wanted to get you talking so we can bring you back to life.
There you go.
So I guess they started kind of doing these different comics, and this one's with Vampiro. I didn't recognize any of the names. Kingston, Napalm, Baskel. They're all right. It's not like the Kingston from AEW. It was a different one when I flipped through it. There's that Jericho Rockin' Wrestling Cruise. Got another one of those shirts. If I can figure out which way to go. I actually really like the can koozie with it. On the one side, it's the cruise again, but then it's got a pretty cool little art picture there on the back of it.
That is cool.
And then I forget what they call these, the micro brawlers, a Ricky Starks.
Okay.
It looks like my body style.
It's a little bit different. Hangman Adam Page pen, like a shirt pen. Every one of the boxes comes with a different poster. This one got the Lucha Brothers and Pac on there.
That's cool.
And then the autograph this month. I don't think I've got this one yet. The one Lucha Brother, not Phoenix, the other one.
Oh, the one that just signed to the WWE.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
I'm brain farting right now.
Yeah.
Pentagon.
Tell us in the comments
Penta.
if you know who it is, because we can't remember.
It's Pentagon, something like that.
Yeah. So
You know
Phoenix,
what's funny is I reached out to CMML again because they just did their midget lucha wrestling event. It was a tournament, and I reached out to ask them once again to allow us to put it on and have us comment on it, and they still, for some
No
reason, they're the
reply?
only ones that won't ever get back to me.
His whole name is Penta L0.
L0.
I'm sure they're going to change it. In the
5-0.
WWE right now, there's I forgot what they call it, but they show little clips of a scene or sometimes a picture. And here lately, they did. Huh?
A vignette?
Yeah, vignette. Yeah. And it's been a 0 with a line going through it. And everyone's speculating that it's him that's coming. But Phoenix is supposed to come too. But
I said his name was, what I say, Spanish for zero fear. Cerro Lude was one of his names. He's had apparently a lot of names around the world.
Well, I know Phoenix, his brother, is still signed to AEW. He was supposed to leave with Penta to go to WWE, but there's some speculations that Tony Khan has extended his contract to make up for all the times that he was hurt. So they're saying that he's doing it just so he can kind of screw up the whole WWE, coming in with his brother part. But so that kind of sucks. But that shit kind of happens from time to time, that they try to screw up the other company's plans, especially since they were both signed to AEW and they were both trying to jump ship.
Money talks. What else
Yeah,
you get, Bonnie?
right.
Was that everything?
Yep, that was the whole box.
Next week, I'll grab Vampiro's first. I want to say it's his first wrestling figure. I have it. I actually just seen it in the basement. There's a bunch of them that I got that's still in the package. That was a lot of the Mexican wrestlers, and Vampiro is one of them, which is kind of funny because Vampiro. There's a bunch of not organizations. There's a bunch of small-time toy companies that's coming up with wrestling figures now, and one of those toy companies just dropped a Vampiro one, based off of his Mexico gimmick. So it'll be kind of cool to see as one of his first ones.
It's funny that you said Mexican wrestler, though, because isn't he actually Canadian?
Yeah, so he's from Canada.
Come on, you
but
Canadian.
he first went down to Mexico to start wrestling because he wanted to learn the lucha style. He loved the fast-paced style, and he didn't really like the American style. So he went down there, and then again moved out to, I think he went straight to WCW. Might have had a spot in ECW, but because most of them did, like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, they all did spots in ECW before they moved on to WCW. But I think Vampiro,
he might have came after ECW already folded.
Yeah, could have been. But definitely a cool guy. I've seen a documentary on him, and he's currently working for the NWA right now. He's a manager. But he's one of those that kind of like Roddy Piper talked about, where when he wakes up in the morning, it takes him forever just to sit up in the bed. It takes him a while to get up and get moving because his body is so war zone. Yeah, I don't
So
know
what
what a
you're
good word for it.
saying is the bump card is full.
His bump card is full. That's a perfect lead into
Segue,
this
Jim.
video.
Yeah, it does not look like he was in ECW. He did a lot of Lucha Libre in different places around Mexico, did a tour of Japan, and then went to WCW.
Before we end it, I always like to thank you guys for subscribing because I was actually paying attention to the subscribers because I was thinking we might have shot the 700 before the end of the year. I don't think we're going to quite get there, but I was so shocked from where we were to where we're at now because we are hoping just to get to 500 by the end of the year because that was the first like plateau, but we just jumped past that. So we're sitting. I think the last time I looked, it was like 625.
Yep, we're still there.
625. So
625.
we just blew past the 500 mark, and I mean when I say blew past it, one day we're at 500, and it just seemed like by the end of the week we were already at 600, and it was still climbing. So I appreciate you guys passing the word around about the podcast. I know some people are interested in toys. Some people are interested in like WWE and AEW stuff that we talk about. And some are just here for the local SICW, wrestling. And we appreciate all of you. So whatever you come for, please continue to stick around. We love that you guys are talking about us and actually doing comments and liking the videos. So it just makes us feel like what we're doing, which we love to do, is not just for us. 625 out of you guys love the videos, so we appreciate that. But still, spread the love, share the videos, comment on them. It helps us out in the algorithm so we can get more subscribers.
And the algorithm.
Yeah, that one too.
Right. If you know me, you know I can't talk. But thank you. And from everyone at the Squared Ring Podcast, good night, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.